Okay, welcome back. This is Mogul Credit. I am your host, Mr. Mogul Maker. I'm just going to use this channel, because I want to break down a few things for you guys. Things that I've just learned along the way. Stuff about credit, finance, funding, capital raising, scaling your business. Just again, like I said, just things that I've learned along the way. And I want to explain it in the way that I've learned it and the way that I broke it down. So I think, it's probably best that we start off literally at the beginning, right? And the reason why I say this is because credit in itself is your personal business credit. It is the core of the entire economic system that we operate in. And for those that don't believe me, I'm going to show you some proof as to why that is the case. So how to control your credit is understanding first the financial system that we're in. Secondly, understanding the components and the tools that you use in order to control those things. So for example, let me show you couple of things. This is the credit reporting agencies. This is Fair Credit Reporting Act, right? This is the entire act right here. So, one of the things that I think everybody has to do is when you go back to the basics. And, I played sports. I've done a few things, but one thing that coaches will always explain to me is to never lose your fundamentals, right? Never lose sight of your fundamentals. And I think people really get so caught up inside of hacks all the time that they lose sight of the simple fundamentals of the entire system, right? This is the congressional findings. Inside of it, accuracy and fairness of credit reporting. The Congress makes the following findings. The banking system is dependent. You can almost start and stop right there, but you guys got to understand that the basis and the core of this whole thing starts right here. The banking system is dependent upon fair and accurate credit reporting. Inaccurate credit reports directly impair the efficiency of the banking system, the entire system. So when I told you guys that the entire system is relying upon this, I'm not saying this. This is their own Congress saying this, right? This is the government saying this. And unfair credit reporting methods undermine the public confidence, which is essential to the continued function of the banking system. An elaborate mechanism. So we're going to simplify this elaborate mechanism. This is what I'm going to help you guys out. The elaborate mechanism has for investigating and evaluating the credit worthiness, credit standing, credit capacity, character, developed, and general reputation of consumers. All right. One of the things I'm going to break down next is some definitions. I want you to see what a consumer report is defined as, so you guys understand this section a little bit better. Consumer reporting agencies have assumed a vital role in assembling and evaluating consumer credit and other information on consumers. And again, you guys got to pay attention to some of these words. This is an assumption, right? It's an assumption, not a fact. The facts are controlled by you, right? They have assumed a vital role. So, okay, cool. They put themselves in that place. And can you put yourself in that place? And we'll get further into that too, because I'm going to show you guys how to do data furnishing on your own. This is it. This fairness, impartiality, and a respect for consumers' rights to privacy. All right, again, this is why it's important that we go to some of these definitions. And for those of you that have your Black Laws Dictionary and that understand a little bit of legalese, you're going to want to understand fairness, impartiality, and respect. They're not the same legal definitions that you may believe. All right. Reasonable procedure. It is the purpose of this subchapter to require that consumer reporting agencies adopt reasonable procedures. Reasonable. What's reasonable? Reasonable to who? Reasonable to them or to you? Procedures for meeting the needs of commerce for consumer credit, personal insurance, and other information in a manner which is fair and equitable. Fair and equitable to the consumer. Guess what? Exactly. This is about fairness and equity to you, the consumer. This is all about you. And again, fairness and equitable. We got to get into trust law. I got to show you some things of the power of trust and how that's going to be able to assist you too. But we'll talk about that in another series with regard to the confidentiality, accuracy, relevance, and proper utilization of such information in accordance with the requirement of this subchapter. So let me go back because we got to go over some of the definitions. Let's get back to the basics because you guys are all over the fucking place when it comes to let's do this and let's do that. And you're not seeing any results. Look, listen, you're not understanding the core of how this whole shit works. Just go back to the basics. Go back to the fundamentals. It's really easy. All right. So in definitions, anytime you study any law, I don't give a damn what law it is that you get into. If it is a banking policy, even if this is a statutory law, if this is a trust law, if this is common law, please start with the definitions before you guys start assuming, again, like the credit bureaus have done, credit reporting agencies have done, because they're definitely not credit bureaus, but I'll explain that to y'all right here. Before you start doing any of that, again, before you start assuming anything, let's make sure that we get clarity on what this actually is, right? Before you start coming to me about anything, you better read these definitions because everything I'm telling you is based on these definitions. All right, definitions and rules of construction set forth in this section are applicable for the purpose of this subchapter. So So again, these definitions apply to this law, this statutory law. There might be another statutory law where there's similar definitions, but there's a little variation. So you always have to go back to the definitions of that particular statute before you go into anything. All right. The term person means any individual, partnership, corporation, trust. You guys are going to want to utilize that pretty soon. A state, cooperative, association, government, or governmental subdivision or agency or other entity. The term consumer means an individual. A lot of you guys are confusing the term consumer with natural person. It's not what they said. It means an individual. Now, an individual can be a natural person in other instances, but let's get into this. The term consumer report. So remember congressional findings, right? The term consumer report means any written, oral, or other communication of information by a consumer reporting agency bearing on a consumer's credit worthiness. So again, let's go back. It means any written, oral is when you call up the bureaus, right? Oral or other communication of any information. Jeez, that's kind of heavy though. Any information. Damn. Okay. And by a consumer reporting agency bearing on a consumer's credit worthiness, credit standing, credit capacity, character, general reputation. Wow. Like your reputation is at stake. And I'll explain to you guys why in a little bit. Personal characteristics or mode of living, which is used or expected to be used. So even if they anticipate using it at some point in time, expected to be used or collected in whole or in part for the purpose of serving as a factor in establishing the consumer's eligibility for credit or insurance, family, to be used primarily for personal or household purposes. So as long as it's used primarily for that. And again, this is where you should start to see the separation between your personal credit and your business usage, because a consumer report is supposed to be used solely for personal, family, and household purposes. Now, you leverage that for business funding. And of course, I got other videos coming for you guys on that one. Employment purposes or any other purpose authorized under section 1681B of this title. Now, you have to understand the exclusions. What's part 2 of this? Except as provided in the paragraph 3, the term consumer report does not include, subject to section 1881S-3 of this title, and we'll get to that in a second, any report containing information solely as to transactions or experiences between the consumer and the person making the report. So this is this part right here is a major topic. You got to pay attention that solely as to transactions and experiences. Transactions could be translated into your monthly payment history. Experiences could be translated into your utilization of the amount of credit that you've used. Again, the purpose of this whole conversation is to show you where you have control over your consumer report, right? And the reason why they're reporting transactions and experiences on your consumer report is because you voluntarily gave that up when you signed the contract with your creditor or the person. Communication of the information among persons related by common ownership or affiliated by corporate control. If your information is being shared from Capital One credit card to Capital One Auto, and Capital One Auto doesn't like what Capital One credit card is shared, that shouldn't be a negative impact to your report. In fact, you also have control over not allowing them to share that information, but that's another conversation I'm going to get into. Communication of other information among persons related by common ownership or affiliated by corporate control. If it is clearly and conspicuously disclosed to the consumer that the information may be communicated among such persons, and the consumer is given the opportunity before that time that the information is initially communicated to direct that such information not be communicated among such persons. Again, that's called full disclosure. This whole section is about full disclosure. That's why I was saying this section right here, section 1, is null and void if they performed section 3. Now you have the power to revoke this, but we'll get into that in a second too. The power to revoke is going to have a lot to do with your power of attorney. Restrictions on sharing of medical information. You know, I've been recently hearing a whole bunch of stuff about, Trump is having medical information removed from the consumer. Listen, this is a part of the act. Restrictions on sharing of medical information except for the information or any communication of the information disclosed as provided in section 1681B G3 of this title. The exclusions in paragraph 2 shall not apply with respect to information disclosed to any person related by common ownership or affiliated by corporate control if the information is medical information, right? That means they can't share medical information to a consumer report, individualized list or description based on the payment transaction of the consumer for medical products or services, the aggregate list of identified consumers based on payment transactions for medical products or services. So if a collection agency has purchased your medical debt and then they decide that they want to report it, but they bought a portfolio, right? An aggregate list of identified consumers based on payment transactions for medical products or services. This is a restriction on sharing of medical information. It's very simple. So that, again, you'll find a lot of answers to things right inside of your definitions. I just don't know why people seem to believe this president is doing something greater than what this law had put in place for years. But that's another point. The term investigative consumer report means a consumer report or portion of the report therein, which the information or character blah, blah, blah. Listen, I'll let you guys go through more of this stuff, but the Consumer Reporting Agency, the file, the term file, when used in connection with information of any consumer, means all of the information on that consumer recorded and retained by the Consumer Reporting Agency, regardless of how the information is stored. Again, you can see medical information, and as you go down, what you're going to realize is how much control you start to have, and this is just in definition. We haven't even got outside of the definition. Permissible purpose is the last section I wanted to really show you guys, and I'm going to pull up a couple other things for you. Permissible purpose, subsection C on the Consumer Reporting Agency may furnish a consumer report under the following circumstances and no other. Listen, I think you guys have seen this stuff so many times from so many different people, but it's something about the core understanding of how this stuff applies. All right, now let me get to a little strategy. Listen, the way you control your consumer report is relatively simple. There's a system called AVS, Address Verification System. Let me show you guys how this system works. All right. Again, this is very easy for any one of us to find. An address verification system is a service that confirms a consumer's billing address during an online purchase. AVS helps prevent fraud by comparing the address provided by the consumer with the address on file with the card. AVS, how it works. During checkout, the consumer enters their billing address. AVS compares the address to the address on file with the card issuer. AVS returns a response code, blah, blah, blah. All right. And as soon as as you guys start thinking to yourselves, oh, this is only for credit cards. No, this is everyone using this system, right? AVS availability. AVS is available in some countries, including the US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand. AVS is only available when certain credit card providers, so they say. Other information verification methods, geolocation software, utility bills, tax bills, financial statements, and employment letters. KYC. This is great. You guys got to learn. I'm gonna get the KYC. That's a little too early in the game. But the point is that address verification system, just like others, are being used to verify your accounts. So what does that mean? If you have an account that has, let's say, your current address that's on your identification, that matches together, and you've allowed it to report on your consumer report, then you try to dispute that account. Well, you're going to have hell trying to dispute it because they're going to keep verifying. How did they verify it? It's very likely they verified it using AVS and other systems to verify your account. Remember, controls that you have on your consumer report with permissible purpose, congressional findings, and just literally going back over your definitions, you'll start to see yourself how you start controlling your consumer report. And it's not really as difficult, I think, as people make it out to be. You'll start finding all the control in yourself. Now, there are consumer law attorneys, lawyers that practice consumer law, right? Most of them don't want to pick up your case or even represent you unless you have, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars at stake. Like you're suing a creditor, just ignoring complaints or, abusing you financially or predator lending, or whatever the case may be. Like those would be the reasons that they would pick up a case for you. If you have collections or something like that and the collection agency is being abusive or different things like that. Outside of that, this consumer law stuff is designed for the consumer themselves to learn. It's built around you guys deciding to put forth the effort to take control of what we have just proven is the core of your financial power. Like I've made a lot of cash in my day, but that cash means absolutely nothing to the buying power that I have now with my credit. Now that we've kind of gone over, congressional findings, understanding permissible purpose, the AVS system, and how all of this stuff applies to your report, I want to break down the differences of a few different people, a few different persons in the game, because, a person could be an entity, right? Data furnishers, data brokers, and data aggregators. So let me break down a simple difference because you got to know the players in the game now. Now that you understand how you can control everything that you got going on with your report, I want you to understand the players that are involved in this. A data furnisher, start with them. Businesses that report your account details to credit bureaus. So banks, credit card companies, lenders, collection agencies, etc. Those are data furnishers. Removing negative accounts means dealing with data furnishers, right? That is the legal terminology. That is also the industry term that they call themselves. They are data furnishers in the credit world. They are called creditors outside of that. By definition, financially, legally, they're called creditors, but within the industry of credit, they're called data furnishers, all right? So it's important that you understand those distinctions. Now, then you have companies that are called data brokers, right? Now, data broker, the creditors, we know that they're banks, credit card companies, blah, blah, blah. Data broker companies, they collect and sell personal information to other businesses. So LexisNexis, CoreLogic, Experian Market Services. So Experian also has a data broker services as well, right? So they'll collect information and then they'll sell it to other people, right? Other persons, other companies. So they might sell the information over to a bank and say, hey, I got these dope profiles. You guys want to, I got these really incredible profiles. Do you guys want to purchase these, right? Like, there's a good business model in that, right? LexisNexis, CoreLogic, Experian Marketing Services, and there's plenty of others, but LexisNexis, they broker data all day long. So deleting your data from data brokers stops them from reselling your information. So you can see the value in deleting your information with data brokers, but you got to know that they even exist in the first place. And I'll leave some links below of different places where you can actually stop them from sharing your information, and also other online companies and stuff that be able to help you out. Can't think of them right now. Data aggregators. So data aggregators collect and compile massive amounts of data from multiple sources. So examples, FICO. Did you know that they were a data aggregator? I just thought they were a scoring model, but they're an aggregator. Axiom, ACXIOM, and then TransUnion's TLO. So TransUnion has a data aggregators. Why this matters is aggregators keep track of your financial behavior beyond just credit reports. So you can also stop them from collecting. A lot of times data brokers might have information that they're, reselling or whatever the case may be, but typically it's a data aggregator. They're kind of like the people that are shoveling up the information, right? Those of you that have bankruptcies. If you have a bankruptcy and it ends up on your consumer report, then it went through the following process. A data aggregator grabbed it from the courts, a data broker collected it and compiled it, right? And then they sold it to a data furnisher. You got it? That's how it ends up in your credit report. The challenge with that is that the information is from a public sector versus a private sector, and we'll get more into the public and private aspect of it too. So how can you delete some of this information? First off, you could just literally call the bureaus up and request some of this information to be deleted. Then a lot of times this is not about a security freeze. This is literally about asking them to delete information. So sometimes you have to request your report in order to figure out what you need to delete. But if you ever kind of experience, how you apply for something and they're asking you who your aunt was that lived over at some address from 5 states ago, you know what I mean? They're asking you for who your uncle is. Is this person with a different last name that you might have been married to from 10 years ago? Are you related to this person in any type of way? Those are all data aggregators and brokers that are compiling that information. And again, they have an assumed role, right? So they're assuming this information. So that's the reason why sometimes we get those answers wrong. Like, who the put this together? Like, no, I'm not related to this. I don't even like this motherfucker. I know who you're talking about, but no, I'm not related to this person. But if you answer it that you're not related, you'll get it wrong. And then you'd be locked out of your own file. And you'd be like, what the hell? It's because these people are compiling their information off of their own assumptions. It's amazing, right? Opt out of data brokers by submitting removal requests. I think there's optoutprescreen.com, NC2, NCTUE. Again, I'll put some links of to opt out of some data brokers. There's also some IT services that help you do a lot of scraping from a lot of data brokers. And listen, there's hundreds, if not thousands of data brokers that are out there, like, harnessing your information and reselling it to other people. Like, imagine the profits you could make from just compiling people's information and then reselling it. Even if you were reselling a file for $2 a file, but you had 10 million files, it's $20 million in revenue. So you see the motivation that these people have to sell your information. You know what I mean? Like, they're motivated by that. It's fine. Everything is financially motivated in some fashion. It's not always that cool. And it makes you wonder, like, damn, you are really making my life difficult as shit so you can go make a buck. Another thing, monitor your credit reports and dispute unauthorized accounts. I'm going to teach you guys how to dispute the credit on your own. I'm going to show you guys all these different methods out here, stuff I've been doing 10 years. This stuff isn't nothing new. Every method you think is brand new out here is nothing new. new under the sun. The actual law's been around for 70 years or something like that. There's nothing new under the sun. Like, don't let these people gas you that this brand new hack. It's nothing new. They just found out about it. That's really what it is. But, hopefully you got kind of understand after this one that you have a boatload of control over your report. So keep in mind, the control starts with the identifiable information, your address, name, phone number, etc. So, and I've had questions before. What if you used to live at this address? What if I did actually live at this address? If it's non-mailable, then there's no value and no reason for it to stay on your report. Again, consumer reports are about current and relevant information. Okay. If it's not current and it's not relevant and you can't receive mail there anymore, get the address off your report. Stop reminiscing about living at that place and looking at it on your consumer report. Just write it down or something like that, but you don't need it on the consumer report. Having too many addresses oftentimes will make the banks feel like you're unstable. And here's one of the reasons why. You guys could take some time to look this up yourself. Look at your addresses and see if you see a timestamp on it. So here's what I mean. Like, go to the address on TransUnion, Equifax, or Experian, LexisNexis, either one of them. Look at the address and how many addresses you have and see if you can find a reporting date, like the date that they reported it. That's called a timestamp. If you can't, then who's able to determine when and where you move there? Who can figure that out? So if you have 10 addresses, they don't know if you're just trying to float around or if you're unstable or not. That's typically how they think about things when you're starting to apply for business credit. So you really want to clean and polish up your profile. But as of right now, I'm gonna let you guys kind of sit with that one. Listen, if you guys got any value out of this, check for your boy, Mr. Mogul Maker. I got a lot more of this stuff coming. This is really early in the game. I'm gonna see just how much more we can keep putting this thing out. But like, comment, if you guys want to discuss anything with me, for sure, I'm available. Subscribe to the channel. I got a free ebook coming. It's called Personal Info Suite. So it's a more constructed version of this video, so you guys can get an actual, step-by-step things. But I have enough links and different things. And also, I would have the Mogul Maker community, Mogul Maker Academy. Mogul Maker Academy. You guys can feel free to subscribe to. I'll have the link and everything about that below. Then, of course, my Instagram, blah, 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 and everything you guys want to hit me on. But again, it's Mogul Credit page. I'm your boy, Mr. Mogul Maker. I'll see you guys on the other side.